We could dance all night.
It has been a heavy week for sure for both you and me. And one of the great things about this region, the people that make it up. Amazing people that just want to help. Up in 7, Annie B. She's one of those people. Yep, you hear her every Monday afternoon, 1:30 right here on Z93 with Mindful Monday. She's going to share some of her tips on how to help you cope as we deal with the aftermath with everything that happened Saturday afternoon in Traverse City. So that's up in 7 and only here on Z93. Z93 at 1:30 on your Thursday afternoon, and with everything that has happened this past weekend, and now as we deal with the aftermath. Annie B. from Gorilla Girl Coaching joins us on the tvcairport.com studio line and shares some coping tips for you.
Of the many things I could share, I've really tried to hone it into one, honoring your feelings, but not letting them run the show. And by that, I mean getting help. When you're a victim, the loved one of someone impacted, an employee, a community member, emotional aftershocks are real and extremely vulnerable to face and to share and to feel. So the bottom line is, please don't minimize what you're experiencing. I strongly encourage people to get the professional support for themselves or those they love, because trauma is tricky and underestimated, and it doesn't disappear with time, it imprints. So early care and acting on it can change everything.
What about when our brain doesn't stop and therapy is not an option right now? What are some tips we can tell our brain so that we can cope better and do what we have to do to get through the day?
This is something, it sounds almost too simple, but breathing. Deep breathing just really brings you back into the present moment, which might sound a little cliche, but it's conscious and being mindful and being able to say, okay, what's happening right now is not real, it's just in my mind. Breathing, and in those moments, the hardest thing to do is use a tool. So breathing, breathe. Harder to do in the moment, though, so that's the trick. However, we don't want to minimize what we're feeling, so that's the hardest part. But sometimes that's too far of a leap. We don't want to minimize what we're feeling, and just by supporting ourselves by breathing, it can, yes, put us in the state of this too shall pass, but not in the way where we're just negating our feelings, because when you suppress what you're feeling, it doesn't go away. It'll keep coming back and keep coming back. So the idea is we're okay and we're in the moment and we're safe and let's move forward. You know, oftentimes when you're trying to support someone, right, and you say, oh, you know, everything's going to be okay and this is just temporary, or don't feel that way, it actually exacerbates someone even more. It's better to just be where you're at, breathe through your feelings, and then you're naturally in the present moment, and you don't need to have those positive affirmations, so to speak. Not that they can't be helpful, but not in those moments.
For me personally, I used to just be like, oh, I'm fine. And just like what I was doing was I was just burying it, and it would just get stronger and stronger and stronger. We are all going through something, and we have all been through something. Just the level just might be different. But we are speaking with Annie B., Gorilla Girl Coaching. You can catch her every Monday afternoon at 1:30 right here on Z93. And it's just tips that we just, to get through the day. I don't know how else to say it, girl. I mean...
No, I love what you touched on about I'm fine. And that goes with supporting, many of us are supporting somebody who was impacted, may have been a victim, may be an employee, whatever it is. And when you take too far of a leap and just try to go to the I'm fine, because that's how you want someone to feel, but that's not how you get there. I'm fine. No, I'm not. I just need to let it out, and then I'll be fine. The unexpected and the unpredictable, the biggest thing that robs us of our faith, our hope, our joy, our well-being, because the unexpected can feel terrifying, and it's easy to fall into fear. So, and live in anticipation of the next, right, of what could happen. So, again, it's really doing your best to become mindful, and breathing helps you get out of that fight or flight, that urgency, that fear mode, and get more conscious of, is this happening right now? Yes, this happened. that's one of the biggest things that we do as human beings, control of what somebody's thinking, control of what's going to happen next week, control of the weather on vacation, trying to control what we can't. And so, we can't control what happens, and I know it sounds cliche, but we can make better choices how we respond to them, and that requires self-awareness, and that promotes mindfulness, and we can make better choices in those moments, and that requires, like I say, breathing. If I had one simple step, breathing gets you back into the moment, and it can calm you down, and that stops that fear and feeling the need to control things. It's a horrible place to be.
That is Annie B. from Gorilla Girl Coaching. You can catch Annie every Monday afternoon right here on Z93 at 1:30 with Mindful Monday. But Annie also says some grounded ways to care for yourself and others include honoring your feelings like we just heard, limit your exposure to triggering content that disrupts your peace, and be present for those in need, not in fix mode. Annie tells us listening helps more than giving advice. GorillaGirlCoaching.com for more.
Welcome to the Z93 Facebook page.